All right, so what we got here is the Western Digital Live device that I was showing you earlier that you saw in the introduction. And this is what we are going to set up first. Again, other devices such as the Roku or the Sony device work very similar to this and have very similar connections. So if you choose to get something else, it's not a big deal. Most things will work pretty much very similar. We're going to take a quick look at the back of it here. And on the back, you can see there's not a whole lot of different things. On the front, there's actually really no buttons to push. You control everything with a remote control. It's a small remote control that basically has up, down, left, right, OK, back, and that's about it. So on the back side here, we don't have a whole lot of different things. Like I said, this one right here is power. Right here is a USB port. You can use this if you have videos or music or pictures on a flash drive. You can plug it into this, and you can display that media on your big screen TV or at your friend's house or something. This one right here, the HDMI port, this is commonly used to connect HD media to a TV. This is the best option to use. Most TVs these days have this, so I'm going to assume that your TV has this, and if it does, this is what you should use. This is what connects your TV to your media device. You also, by the way, don't need to buy an expensive HDMI wire. There's an article on my website that's called The Truth of HDMI Wires or Digital Wires. Don't spend a lot of money. Get the cheapest one you can get. It'll probably work fine. This right here is an optical wire. This optical wire can be used to carry audio to your home theater system. Most home theater systems don't have this HDMI option available in the home theater system itself. So this will go to the TV, this will go to your home theater. This is the most common setup, so this is the only one I'm going to cover because there can be so many different options that we would spend 20 minutes talking about them. This one right here is your Ethernet port. You should have seen this before. This is what connects your computer to your router or your modem or whatever you have. This is what's going to be used to connect to our router here. You might have a wireless option. If you have wireless, then you won't need to connect this right here. However, like I recommended, I use wired connection because it's convenient for me and it's much more reliable. If you don't have that option, then you won't be connecting this. This AV out right here is for standard definition, and we won't be using that. This YPRPB is for HD TV, but it's a lesser quality HD TV. This one can support a higher quality HD TV and does everything on one wire, whereas this is a whole mess of different wires. So we're not going to use this either. So essentially, once we're done, we're just going to have power, the HDMI connecting to the TV, optical connecting to the home theater, and the Ethernet that connects us to our network. If you don't connect a home theater, that's no problem. So in your situation, you would just have power, HDMI, and the network wire. Alrighty, so let's move on to actually setting the device up itself. Like I said, it's not too difficult. I already have the wires here, but all you need to do is run these 4 wires. For this side, meaning the media player, again, we have just a couple wires to connect. We have this HDMI wire. This is probably your key wire. This is what goes to your TV, and you plug it into your TV in the appropriate HDMI port. Here, plugs in, just like I showed you before, to the HDMI here. And it's keyed, which means that you can plug it in only one way. You can't plug it in upside down, so I'm going to turn it around and get this guy in, and that one's good to go. Now remember, don't buy the most expensive cables because you're really not getting anything for it. Save yourself a bunch of money. If you learn nothing else from this video, that's going to save you a lot of money right there. The next one is our optical cable. This is what I'm using to send the audio from this device to my home theater system. If you don't have a home theater system, then you're going to skip this step. In this case, I do have one. And just like the HDMI cable, this is keyed, so it'll only go in a certain way. You don't want to push with too much force, otherwise you may break something because it is optical. It's essentially glass and mirrors, so be careful with that. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to connect is our Ethernet wire right here. This is what connects to our router. Remember, if you have a wireless router, then you're not going to need to do this because you're not going to be using a hard wire. If you have the option or if you have the capability to do the hard wire, do that. And last but not least is our power cable. So we plug that in. Once it's plugged in, obviously, we are good to go with this box. I like to set mine up vertically like this, and we're going to start looking at the configurations. These same things plug into the appropriate devices. So the optical, you need to plug it into your home theater system. Your HDMI wire, plug into the appropriate HDMI port on your TV. Make sure you set your TV to that HDMI port. So when you plug it in, it might say HDMI 2. You're going to set your TV to HDMI 2.